So today is another episode of Ye Olde Spider, and you can see him there on the screen, who is a medieval superhero. So this is like a superhero fantasy mashup together. He was joined by some other superheroes last episode, and we'll give you the full recap right after the intro. Hi folks, and welcome to Sharp Mountain Games. Here we talk about group role-playing games, solo role-playing games, and there are plenty of actual plays in the playlist. You can check out our print and PDF products at Amazon, Lulu, Drive-Thru, and Roll20, and they're all linked below. Let's get started, and we're glad you're here. So the system that I use to play these games is my own system, STREAMLINED SUPERHEROES, and I can explain a little bit more as we go along, how it all works. But the really exciting news is it's now available for purchase. Yep, over on drivethrurpg, you can pick it up. It's only $2.99. So I think, if you watch the video and you see how I do things, and if you kind of like it, that's great. Maybe you want to bring it to your own table. If not, and you just want to take a look at it, that's great too. I still thank you for watching and for being here. And I certainly don't want to turn this into some kind of long commercial. So let's start to get right into the action. Let's introduce our players. So let me turn that off, get that out of the way. So we have Ye Olde Spider, who is Parker Peterson. And then last time, he kind of met up with some other superheroes who he didn't know. They're pretty new to town. So there is Bright Star, who he also heard called Angel. So he doesn't know if that's her real name or not. And she can fly, and she has these fire powers. And the Ice Duke. And again, he doesn't know, they didn't do the unmasking or anything like that. So let me give you a quick recap of what's going on. I have all that in my notebook here. So our spider was out on patrol, and he followed two people, one made of ice, the other flying and seemingly on fire. And he helped them break up a robbery that was in progress. However, the robbers, they were wearing these suits of armor, and one did get away with some jewels. This was a jewelry heist. And what happened was they found that there was actually no one inside these suits of armor. It was really kind of strange. There was just other kind of like wires and things in there, but the old spider wasn't able to determine exactly what it is. He has alchemy, so I let him make a science type roll. So they've decided that they're going to investigate. So the next day, the Ice Duke, now his father is actually a duke and does a lot of trading, so there's some hope that he will be able to get some information from his business contacts. And Bright Star works as an artisan and an artist, so she may know some of the jewelers. And the spider has a fella he might talk to as well. So let's just take it in order and see what happens. Now, because it's a solo game, I will make some rolls, probably based on charisma, to see what they can do. And let's see if I have a little city here. It's not much, but it'll do, because I don't want to set up, I don't want to build a whole city with the blocks. So I have this little book of battle maps here, and we'll just take it one at a time. Now, they are working in their civilian identities. So her civilian identity, Angel, works as an artist and a jeweler, and she goes and she knows some of the other local jewelers. So she's going to go and talk to one of them. Like I said, we have a little shop here. That's nice. And she could say, for her own work, for some of the sculptures she makes, she sometimes needs jewels or some of the mosaics. She said, but I hear there's some problems lately. I hear there's some problems here in town. So let's see. Let's have her make a charisma roll. Now, she doesn't have any, let's see, art. So I think, because that's her profession, I'll give her the D8 on that. So let's give this a roll here. 20. Oh, that's good. Now, she got a 4. Usually if it's a 6 or better, they get an exceptional success. No matter what the dice is, if it's a 6 or better on a non-combat roll, they get an exceptional success. So she gets just a standard success, and that's fine. And he says, he said, I hope you're not looking for Starconium. And she says, oh, why is that? And Starconium is a very pretty blue jewel that almost seems to glow in the right light. She said, he says, a lot of it's been purchased up lately. Oh, she says, any idea who's purchasing it? And he says, I'm not supposed to talk too much. Let's see. She's going to turn on the charm here a little bit. Yeah, 11. That's good. Oh, 7. Yeah. So again, she doesn't specifically have she has charisma, but not specifically like an interaction skill. But I think with the art, with them being in the same business, I think they would certainly talk a little bit, probably like doctors and teachers and people in the same profession share a lot of information. And also this is the little book of battle maps that I happen to have. And it's handy sometimes just to add a little eye candy to things. And he says, well, I shouldn't tell you this, but the buyers are all using Valterian coins. So I don't know if they're from Valteria, if they're associated with the embassy. He said, that's really all that I know. So she is very grateful for this, that she got that information, and she thanks him. And she says, oh, and I'll be back. I'm sure that I'll need more pieces for the mosaics and things like that. So let's bring in the Ice Duke, who's not really a duke. His father is the Duke. So he is able to talk with his father's business. His name is Roberte Kennard. And he's trying to get some information about whether there's been any movement of jewels or anything unusual here in town. And let's see what he's going to roll. Now, his business is a D6. And his charisma is +3. Oh, he's quite charismatic. He turns on the charm when he's not in his ice form. He really warms up, I bet. How does he do? 16 and 6. Oh, that's really good. So he gets that exceptional success. Talking to people, in his father's business and around the city. And he finds out that, there's been a lot of purchases made of these gems by Valterians. And that there's, there is an embassy in town, but also there's been a recent rental. So, being a duke, his father being a duke there, he would know some things about, I guess, land transactions, things like that. So he's not sure why they're renting a barn or a farm outside, unless, it's part of the embassy that they like to ride, maybe, or something. He's just not sure. Now, let's see what's going to happen here. So we have our Ye Olde Spider. Now, I don't have flips for these ones, but let's see. We'll have that be over here, just so it's somewhere different. Well, watch. He's going to transform into his civilian identity right before our eyes. It's going to be amazing. Whoop. There he is. So he changes to his civilian identity where he works as an apothecary or an alchemist. And he's not super friendly with him, but he has had contact with the magician Stephen. Now, Stephen runs a magic shop. He sells different things. And I think the suspicion is that he really runs the shop mostly to replenish his own supplies and to have dealings that involve that. Now, he actually has had better luck with him as Ye Olde Spider, but it's the middle of the day and he's going to try. And now he hasn't had much contact with the other two yet because they don't know each other in their civilian identity. So he is going to ask, and he's going to say, I'm really concerned. He said, I think there have been I'm hearing there's some gem thefts. And he said, I sometimes have to use small amounts of certain gem powder for certain of my tinctures and things like that, certain minerals. He says, do you know anything about that? Is there anything you'd be able to help me with? He said, I know I've been a little bit nosy in the past, he said, but I really do want us to work well together as, mutual businessmen. He said, I'm not after your trade secrets or anything. So let's see. His alchemy is a D6. So let's see how he does on this interaction here. 16 is good. Now, the 5 doesn't give him an exceptional success, but that's okay. And Stephen says, well, between you and I, he said, I'm very worried. He says, they're stealing these Starconium gems. And he said, I think I can tell you this. He said, because, I know that you're an apothecary and not an evil wizard or anything like that. He says, but, my suspicion is, and from what I've read, he said, I don't know a lot about it, is that these Starconium gems can be used for mind control, especially of animals and creatures and things like that. He said, that's really what I'm concerned about. He said, are they taking these or, and doing something illicit with it in that way? He said, who knows what havoc they could wreak on the city. He said, there was that ogre that was through here just a while back. And that certainly set the place in an uproar. And Parker is very grateful. And in fact, he buys a few things while he's there for his apothecary shop. Things, he doesn't maybe need right away, but he knows that it's really good to keep things smooth with people who can give him information. And I'm just using these little meeples. They're so cute for the NPCs right here. I have other little type peoples too, but I'm using these today. So he goes back to his shop. Let's assume that it's maybe later in the day. He's been out a lot of the afternoon having to do all this. Let me get the book out of the way here. So he goes back to his shop because he does need to check on things. He's left his aunt, minding the store. And he's really glad because when he comes into the store, Guinevere is there. Guinevere works for Lord Jameson, and he is always happy to see her. And he says, "Oh, Gwen, what a nice surprise to have you here." And how are you? He asks his aunt. And she says, "Oh, I'm fine, but you've been out running around, and I'm half worried, sick. There's strange going-ons. I hear there were robberies just last night in town." And he says, "Oh, don't worry." And he has his bag. He says, "I had to make some purchases from the magic shop." He said, "But everything's okay." And she says, "Oh, I worry so much about you, Parker. I just worry about your health and all that." He said, "Well, I'll be fine." He says, if you're so worried and you're concerned," he said, "you go upstairs and lie down." He said, "I'll take over. I have to put this stuff away anyway. And it'll be getting close to closing time pretty soon." And I think the aunt knows he also wants to talk with Gwen. So she makes her exit there, put her in the little bin over here. And he goes back and he's talking with her, and he's talking about, and she's of course heard about, she keeps her ear to the ground. "Oh, I've heard about these robberies and all that." And he says, yeah. He said, "And there's this spider character I hear." And she says, "Oh, I don't know what to make of him. Lord Jameson says he's a menace. He's a menace to society. He's probably behind all these robberies." And Parker says, "Oh, well, I don't think that. Maybe it's possible that he's just trying to help as best he can." And she says, "Well, I'm not sure. Lord Jameson sometimes gets a little bit hot under the collar about things." So he thanks her for visiting, and he's going to get his light supper and then meet up at the town square with his new companions, and they're going to compare notes. So Parker does the old switch. Make sure you can see that. It's like Wonder Woman doing her twirl. And there's a fountain in the middle of the town square. I just have this lid here to represent the fountain. And he meets them, and they decide, well, let's just talk in one of the alleyways because we don't want to be too conspicuous here. He says, we are kind of conspicuous, the spider says. So they go into the alleyway, and they talk about things, and they compare notes. So they talk about, that there's something going on with the Valterian embassy, that they're buying specifically these Starconium jewels, and the spider tells them, this is a good little recap, that they might be using them for some kind of mind control. And our Ice Duke, he reveals, he says, "Well, what I've heard is that they might have this barn outside of town." He said, "Or we could go right to the embassy and try and see what's going on." But Brightstar says, "Well, I don't think we'd be well received. Given our outfits and our powers, I think we'd be turned away or there'd be a problem there." So Spider says, "Yeah, I think the best thing we can do is try to get outside of town and go to this barn." And I'm going to assume they know the location. So, and again, one thing too, I should say, there was a nice video I saw recently from Sacred Art of Gaming. Maybe I'll link that in the description, where he's saying, when you watch a live play video, don't feel like your home games have to be this way. They absolutely don't. I do try to keep things moving. I think when you're playing at home, you can have a little bit more, take your time and write things down. And I certainly do. My off-camera games aren't quite this, I don't want to say smooth, but I don't move them along quite as much because, I'm taking the time and I'm writing things. I'm checking more random charts. Now, I do some random charts for this. Not totally, but I do for some of them. Like I did roll to see if they were going to have any encounter on the way out to the barn. I got no encounter, which is fine. That'll keep things moving along. But if I had, then, we would have had to see what's going on. So they're going to go outside of town. And I don't know if this is going to help us. This will be the road. I hope I'm not getting too much of a glare. And this will be the walls of the barn. I had these wooden blocks, and I didn't know what to do with them. So they're going to be, for right now, the walls of the barn. And then maybe we'll put some hay bales or wood inside the barn there. I guess these are steps going up to the upper part of the barn. We'll use our imagination. So as they get out of town, Bright Star alights on the ground. Tries to dim her flame. Her flame acts also as an armor, but she has some control over it, so she tries to dim it. And the spider says, let me try to sneak ahead. So he's going to use his wall crawling. That's a D12. Let me try to sneak ahead and see if I can see anything that might help us. 10 and 7, so that's greater than 6. Standing guard outside the door is one of those familiar fellows where they looked like a knight in a suit of armor. And he comes back and he's going to tell them what's going on here. Well, there's a guard there. He says, they look very familiar. He said, but, maybe I can try to sneak up again and get the drop on him. So he's going to try to get a surprise. That way, maybe if we do that, and he said, and the two of you could roll for that as well. He doesn't say roll. I shouldn't say that. He said the two of you could try it as well. He said maybe we could get a free quick attack on him if we get the drop on him. So they agree they're going to try this. So let's see what happens. The old spider's going to try to sneaky. In fact, maybe he's going to try to distract them. He'll throw a rock or something. Hopefully that'll be good for the others to get their sneak in. 9, but now it's a D20. 9 plus 3 more is 12, so it's just standard D20 and add your attribute number, or it's a bonus in a certain other game, but for me it's just a number. It's the same thing. And 11, so that's great. So he is able, let's say, well, maybe rather than, well, no, he was trying to distract. He wasn't trying to web him up yet. So this guy gets distracted. So what I'm going to say is they're going to be able to move in and do their attacks. I'll let them do it with advantage because he's distracted. And also, because that was successful, I should say this, the advantage also gives you advantage on the damage roll. I'm going to say that only affects her, though. I don't think it should affect both of them. That gets to be too much. So she's going to come roll in here and try and use her fire blast. And she's using it pretty indiscriminately because they knew there weren't people inside these suits. Let's see, a 3 and a 4. Oh, terrible. Even with the advantage, it doesn't help. So our icy guy says, well, let me try and give it a try. Now let's see what he's going to do. Is he going to try to harm him, or is he going to try to, I think he's going to try to ensnare him with the ice. And the reason for that is that maybe then, they can keep things a little bit quieter, especially if he's able to get his mouth there. Let's see how he does. 11 is good and 5 is good. So he ensnares him for 5. And let's see. 1, 2, 3. Well, maybe we better use blue since it's ice, right? I could have wrote it on a thing. So he's ensnared for 5. So the reason that's good is then that's going to give anybody attacking him while he's ensnared advantage. So our spider, I think, will swing in and try and use his super strength, also a D8. So I've got the dice right here. Let's see how he does. 14, and he does 7 points of damage to him. And he can feel that this was really solid. He said, I think this is another one of those metal ones. So let's have him act now, because I'm trying that where, hero goes, and this guy goes, my friend Solo Spelunking says, I go, you go. Absolutely. So he's going to try to break free from that ice ensnarement. Now, let's see. He doesn't really have any special things, but I don't think it's necessarily a D4. I think I'm going to give him a D6 on his break free, on his strength. No, doesn't matter. He is still ensnared there. So she is going to come in, and they really didn't get much information out of him. So she's going to come in. Our Bright Star is going to come in with her Fire Blast, which is a D10. Can she do that? 10, 8. Okay, but her dexterity, because it's a ranged attack, plus 3 is 11. Is that enough to take him out? Yes. So they don't try to kill him, but he heats up and he collapses. But they do see those familiar sparks like they did before. So he is out of commission. I hope we were quiet enough, the Ice Duke says. I'm worried we made a little bit of noise here. So the spider says, well, let me see what I can see. He's going to wall crawl. Now, he can always wall crawl. That's not an issue. But he's going to try and wall crawl silently so he can peek into this barn and see, you know, what's what. And let me get my dice in the order that they go here. And, of course, you know, it's tradition. You have to drop a dice on the floor when you're playing on camera. If you don't do that, I guess it's 7 years bad luck or something like that. So I got everybody ready to go here in terms of my bad guys. I will move these other dice over here. My good guys are bad guys. But let's see how he does. So his wall crawl is a D12. Let's see if he's nice and quiet. So his dexterity is +3. 8. No, he is not quiet. Now, did he alert them or not? Well, let's use the other dice here. So 1, 2, 3, he didn't. 4, 5, 6, he did. 6, he did. So he sees another person in this armor in here. And he said, there's someone out there. And the person in the armor seems to be wearing, you know, a circlet with a gem on it. And he points to the back, and rising from the back of the barn, you know, maybe it had been hidden among the hay or whatever, is this very, very large, well-armored creature. Let me show you for the camera here. Almost like it burrowed out of the ground. And this thing bursts out of the ground and bursts out here. So it just blew the door right off the barn there. From these, they're almost like Lincoln logs. I should look and see if I have Lincoln logs. I don't know. And let's see what's going to happen. And this one is kind of standing back a little bit by the door here, but has a gun or a wand. And they remember that last time there was somebody who had this wand, and it was magic missile. So let's see how this all shakes down. Get my dice here. So it's all ready to go. And, okay, so Spider goes first for no real reason. And let's have him go. And then this guy gets to make 2 attacks. So let's see what Spider's going to do. This thing, he says, I think it's too big for me to web up. But let's try that first. So he is going to try to ensnare him, I think. 8 + 3 is 11, so that's good. So he ensnares him for 4 points. We'll get a 4E. Not 4th edition, but 4 ensnare. Now, this is a very big creature. So what I'm going to say is that limits his ability to make an attack. He usually gets 2 attacks. I'm going to say that gets him down to 1. And then she'll still get the advantage on trying to hit the creature. So he is going to try and take a swipe at our spider there. But again, we're only going to do the 1 attack. But it's good that he gets the penalty there because he has a D12. And our spider has 20 hit points for ye old spider. 10 is a hit. 10 or better is always a hit for 3 points. Okay. And then how about Bright Star? She's going to come in. Now, he's not going to get another attack. So she's going to get an attack. He is somewhat ensnared. So should she get advantage or no? Well, we'll give her the advantage this time with her Fire Blast, which is a D10. Barely hit it. Or did she? No, 20. I'm sorry. She hit it with the 20. The 7 was no good, but that's okay. Oh, but only 2 points of damage. So the thing makes a little bit of noise, but nah, it's not going down. And this guy here is going to take a pot shot at our Ice Duke. And let's see what he does. D8 is his magic missile wand thing that he has. 6. Okay, so not good. The shot goes wild. And he clearly hears, oh, I missed, in a very human-like voice. So much more human than they had heard from the other ones. So he also says, I think there might be somebody inside that one. We better be careful. Because even though this is a medieval game, I still want to try to, follow the rules here. Have them follow the superhero code, if you will. Approved by the Comics Code Authority. All right, so what's our spider going to do? He is going to take, I think he's tried the ensnarement. He's just going to try to come in and do his punch, which is a D8. 13, great. For 8 points of damage. So he knocks into this thing pretty strongly. Now this thing gets 2 attacks, so I think I'm going to have him try and break free of the web and try and attack on the spider there. Because that's who he attacked first time. I think I should have had him make an attack or a break free roll earlier, but I didn't do that, but whatever. So I'm going to say, this is a pretty strong creature. This is going to be a D12 for his strength. No, look at that. I got a 4. So he would have broke free, but he's still going to do an attack on the spider there. Too many dice here. Oh, misses on that one too. Another 4. Isn't that 2 4s in a row? So I guess, this thing is not used to being webbed up and distracted like that. So let's have our Bright Star make her Fire Blast as she flies in here. And her Fire Blast is a D10. Oh, it would have been a nice hit. It would have been a 10, but she only got a 1, so no good. So he says, I got to take care of this other guy. You folks take care of the big one. So he slides in on his ice slide. And now he knows that this guy is perhaps alive, that there's something unusual here. So he is going to try and use his ice blast, but again, just to ensnare him. He's kind of guessing that he can do that. Let's see, what's his ice blast is a D8. 15 for 2 points of ensnarement. So not very much, but this fellow doesn't get 2 attacks. So the only thing he's going to be able to do on his turn is try and break free. And I believe it is his turn. I think I missed him. So let's have him go. And he is going to try to break free. I don't think he has any special strength, so we're going to make that a D4. 20 and 4. So he breaks out of the ice. Maybe that armor of his gave him a little bit of extra juice there. But he does not get to attack this round. Okay, so back to the spider, who is just going to try to slug away. And he says, you need to go back where you came from, big guy. We don't want to kill you. But, of course, the thing doesn't understand. So he's using his super strength, which is a D8. 13, 1 point of damage. So he gets a little slight clip at the thing. And let's see if this thing can break free. And what do we say? We D12, I believe, for the strength for that. Seems very reasonable. 17 and 11. That's no problem overcoming those 4 points there. No problem at all. He breaks 3 and charges at both of them and makes an attack. Let's see what it is. He only gets to 1 attack. 13 and 10. Okay, we have to see who he hits for 10 points of damage. 1, 2, 3 is Bright Star. 4, 5, 6 is our spider. 4, 5, 6 is our spider. Okay, so he goes after him for 10 points. Rakes at him. That's terrible. Okay, so I think we can now resolve. All right, well, we had him break free and make his attack. Did she get to make an attack? I got to be, like I said, I got to be better about my dice. Let's see, her Fire Blast is D10. Let's just see. If it's an extra attack, well, then that's what it is, because it only did 1 damage. So, no problem there. We're not going to worry about 1 damage and whether she went out of turn. I have to be better with my dice. Okay, so it is our Ice Guy's turn here. And so the other fellow broke free. So I think rather than try and encase him again, he is going to just try to use that Ice Blast to subdue him. Again, it's a subduing shot here. And how did we do? 6 now. Even with the bonus, that's not going to be enough to do that. So he is going to try and fire at him. And he notices that gem is kind of, now that he's really close, he notices that gem is glowing on that circlet that he's wearing. All right, so let's see what we're going to do there now. We're going to have him make an attack with that gun. 6. Okay, he misses, which is okay, and starts to back away, like maybe he's going to try to retreat. All right, so back over to our big armored ugly creature here and see what happens. So I'm going to be better about my dice. So Spider is going to just try and do the wallop again. He says, I hate going toe-to-toe with you. It's not in my nature to hit an animal. 6, and nope, that doesn't hit. Okay, well then let's have him try to hit the spider since we're doing that. Misses the spider. Good, he got a 2. And then our Bright Star, now remember, she's flying and she can, fly around and zap with her thing. But the problem is she does still have to get somewhat close. So I think I'm still going to let him make an attack, a lunge attack on her. So she is going to use her Fire Blast, which is the D10. 19. Very nice. 3 points of damage. So he's down to 25. But he now gets to make an attack on her. 2 misses. Okay, she must be weaving and bobbing and doing all that. Now he says, I think it's something with that circlet. He saw it glowing there. So he's going to use this Ice Blast, but he's going to use it to try and knock the circlet off of his head there. So he's using his Ice Blast. Now, because that's a called shot, he makes it with disadvantage. But if he gets it, things will be good. And his Ice Blast is a D8. So come on, Ice Duke. We'll see. 9 and 20. Either one is good enough. Because if he's using the dexterity, that bumps him up to 11. 4. That thing is dangling loose. So for things like this, where it's like a shot, I decide, okay, it's 6 points to knock that circlet off, to knock the gem off the circlet. So he got it down to 2. So basically, situations can have HP 2. I believe that's the case in Index Card RPG. So that's kind of where I'm getting it from. But I don't think this other guy's taken any damage yet. All right, so top of the order here. Move my dice over. So our spider is going to go. Again, he feels terrible walloping this guy. 7 and 3. Nope, because if I add his strength, that only gets him up to a 9. 10 or better, you succeed. Okay, big guy takes a swing at Spider, and he hits him 16 and 7. Spider is... Oh, I'm hurting here, folks. He always seems to get really beat up. Really, he gets in some real troubles there. Okay, and she is again going to try her Ice Blast, or Fire Blast, excuse me. 20 for 3 more points. It all counts. This is a big creature. And he is going to lunge at her. 14, 12. Ooh, he takes a good swipe at her. So she is reeling a little bit here. And he is going to try to, again, just go for that gem. To get that gem off of his circlet there. And he's using his Ice Blast. So this is, again, a disadvantage, unfortunately. We got to take the lower roll, the 4, because he's trying for the called shot. So he misses that. And this guy just decides to run. He knows things are bad. And he starts to run. Maybe there's a back entrance here. So this is going to be an opposed strength roll. So let's see. He took his shot, and he's going to do his movement. Well, we'll do that next round. We'll do that next round because he already took his shot, and he can move a little bit here. we'll take care of that next round. Okay, back to our spider. You know, this is rough. It's like they're fighting a kaiju almost. Oh, spider misses. And the big guy knocks our spider out. Maybe we'll turn him upside down there so we know, or we'll put a thing on his token to remind ourselves that he is knocked out. Oh, watch this. He's seeing stars. Because when you're down to 0, you're not necessarily dead. Could be, but not necessarily all the time. Okay, so take him out of the mix right now. And she is again going to try her ice blast or fire blast at him. So come on, Bright Star. Let's see how we do. 9. All right, oh, that's the damage. 9, and she hit. Oh, that's good. So this thing reels back. Now we're going to do an opposed strength roll to see if the green guy can get away. If they both succeed, then we have to go back to the powers and see. No. See, the green guy failed. Our blue is for Ice Duke. He succeeded, so he is not able to get away from our Ice Duke. Ice Duke is going to get... There's going to be another round of combat. He is going to use this Ice Blast. Again, a called shot. He's trying to get that circlet. So what did I get? A 6 and a 16. No, not good enough. So this guy is going to fire back at our Ice Duke here for 2 points of damage. Now, he hasn't taken any damage yet, so it's bad to take damage, but he said, I'm in pretty good shape. I've almost got him. Okay, so Spider is out, and he says, can you come back here and help me? So I think what she's going to do is try one more attack on this guy and then fly over here. Now, he will still get his attack on her as she zooms by. So let's do her attack here. 16 and 9. Good. Oh, she's weakened this thing quite a bit. I think she's had the best hits of all of them. But he is going to take a swipe at her as she swings by. 11. Oh, no, I got a 1. Got a 1, so we're good on that. Sometimes when you roll both dice at the same time, you can get confused. Okay, opposed strength check to see if he can get away. But don't forget, she's now in the picture here. So he'll do an opposed strength check. 16's, all right, so they're the same. So I'm going to say Ice Duke is using his ice slides, and I don't think he would have any special speed. So let's see. 6 and 2. So we go to the effect die. The 6 beats the 2. No, this guy is not able to get away. She is again going to try. She's going to try to knock that circlet off his head as well. Let's see if she can do it. Well, we'll throw the... I like to roll them all at once. Make a nice clatter. 20 and 9. Oh, good. The circlet falls off. And this thing out here is, it turns and it seems really, really confused. Oh, I didn't give him a shot, but we'll do that. Yeah, let's give him his shot first. And that was a D8. 13 and 2. So he hits our Ice Duke for 2 points. And this thing starts to burrow down into the ground. It's not called a land shark for nothing. And Ice Duke says, "What's going on here? You hurt our friend." And she says, "Yeah, you better give up now because it's 2-on-1 here." And I'm going to say 5 out of 6 chance he gives up. I mean, he's in a bad strait here. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2. He gives up, and they are going to try to get some information out of him. And she says, I got to go check on Spider. I've got to go see if he's all right. So she swoops back over here, flies over here, and tries to revive him. Now, he's very groggy. So he is, not really going to be able to ask any questions or anything. but she's able to bring him inside. And that little star was a little star bead I happened to find when I was doing some cleaning around the house for one of my children. So Ice Duke is laying it on pretty heavy here. You need to tell us what's going on. You know, you're going to be lucky if you get remanded to the town police here versus what the three of us could do for you, to you. So he's shaking his boots. He says, oh, the master will do worse to me than that. And he says, well, who is your master? Who'll do worse to you? Oh. And he's just very nervous. But again, he's in a bad spot. So he says, it's Lord Doom Knight. Oh, at the embassy. He has plans. He said, oh, you don't do anything to me. I was just supposed to test this with an animal. I think he wants to control a bigger animal. He said, but you know, that he doesn't tell me all of his plans. This was just the test phase here. And he says, what other animal? So I'm going to give Ice Duke a charisma roll here. And he's kind of, you know, he's laying it on thick. Not that he would seriously hurt this guy, but he's threatening him with his ice blast here. 20. Look at that. Now, it's not an exceptional success, but still pretty good. So he is threatening him, and he says, he's sending something north. Something is flying north to a dragon's cave. He said, I fear that's what he's going to do. He said, but you know, he promised that he would let me live. So they now know there's a problem here. So they, the spider, he's awake enough now. He's able to web him and says, you know, do we worry about going to the town guards, or do we try to take care of this? And the Bright Star says, yeah, but we don't know exactly where it's north. We definitely have to go back to town, but there's no time to waste. We have to get on this. And that's where we're going to leave it for this episode. I think that's long enough. I really thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time. Hopefully we can wrap up this part of the story next episode. And remember, Streamlined Superheroes, there's a link below if you're interested in it. You know, whether you want to buy it or not, if you want to just take a look at it, it's on drive-thru. And take care, everybody. Thanks so much. See you in the next episode.